Today we are going to be building the DL-19. Yay! This was featured in Star Wars Battlefront and also in Return of the Jedi when Luke grabbed this blaster from a guard with his force powers. It also appeared in Clone Wars Season 1, used by Turk Falso. So this one's gotten around a little bit. Now we're going to go ahead and build it. Okay, so this build is a little bit more complex, making sure you get all the parts where you want them and how they go. So again, I like to lay all my parts out. And as usual, got my super glue. Remember to always shake, shake, shake. Shake your glue. And now the most intricate part of this is all the pieces that go on the side of the actual grip and receiver part. So you got some holes, a groove, and you basically have these long parts. These are the first parts to go down. They basically go in the holes right here like that. Then you have the second part, the longer part, that goes in the groove. Then you have the third part, which is the part with the two little holes. That goes on. Then you have the little knobs go in the knob holes, and the little pointy slides go in the top part. Whew. So yeah, that's how it goes together. So now let's go ahead and kind of glue these in so you can see how it all goes together again. So the first part, whoopsie, I almost lost my knobby there, is the long part. Now the little thumb guardy thing goes towards the top, the angle goes towards the bottom. And it goes right in those two holes on the side there. So it points down towards the front and the groove is left open. So I'm going to add a little glue. Uh-oh. And that's just going to go right in there like that. And I had a little bit of glue where I didn't need it. Remember, it's always easier to clean off glue while it's wet than try to sand it off when it gets dry. So that's the first part. It's going to sit just like that. The next part is the one that goes in the actual groove there. I'm going to put some glue on here. And that's going to sit in the groove. Just like that. With the point pointing up. The next one is a little square at the two circles. That's going to go right in the little slot for it. Right like that. I'm going to actually put a little bit of glue around the edge of this too. Go right in there like that. Then you take one of your knobs. That's just going to sit right in the knob hole there. And the final point is a little spear looking thing. You want the point pointing forwards. The flat part towards the back. That's just going to go right in that groove along the top. If I can get it in there without sticking my fingers together. There we go. So that's what you're going to end up with. Couple layers worth of things, but it all goes together pretty well. Now I'm going to let that glue set for a second. So now we can go ahead and kind of start working on the barrel parts. So first we have the very front of it. And basically you have the part, then you put the little spin wheel on, and then you put the end cap on. Now we have the main barrel body and the front of the barrel. Now this big groove here, that's the bottom. That's what's going to go into the actual handle. Then you have the front of the barrel, and you want the grooves facing down. So that's just going to slide on right like that. So the grooves all line up with the grooves. Now I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on here. Slide that in just like that. Now I'm going to slide the end cap on. Put some glue on the end here. Now when I slide this assembly on, I want to make sure that it lines up with the bottom. Because you want all that to be nice and lined up, and you see how that kind of lines up with the grooves as it goes down? That's how you want all this to be aligned. There we go. So that's all nice and lined up. It's lining straight up all through the middle. Now I can go ahead and start working on the scope that goes on top. So we have the little scope pins. Got a fat end and a skinny end. Fat end goes in the barrel, skinny end goes into the scope. So they just slide right into the holes like that. So I'm going to put a little glue. Dun, 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 dun. Put the fat end in, put the fat end in. Then we have this cool little plate. Plate just slides over. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to it. It's going to sit right on those grooves there. Just like that. And then we can put the scope on with the pointy parts towards the front. That's going to go on right like that, but with some glue. So put a little glue. Remember, you must make sound effects while you work. Dun, 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 dun. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on there with that glue. And it all slides together just like that. So that's kind of the front of our gun. We also have the gun tip. It's that little part that has a little flange to it. That's going to go right into the end here. So I'm going to put a little glue. And that little guy just goes right in there like that. Oh! Now this guy's pretty dry now, so I can go ahead and flip him over and do the other side. So remember, the first one is the big one. The thumb grip facing up, the point facing down. Some glue. Line it up with the holes. And it goes on like that. So it's mating the other side. Now I can grab the longer part with the big groove. And that's going to go right down in that groove. Eventually. Right like that. Next up is the little square guy with the two holes. You're gonna go right there. Bonk. And then finally the little button. You're gonna go in your buttonhole. Right there. There we go. Now we have the other side done. Now we can go ahead while we're here. Oh, I need the little pointy part too, don't I? Little pointy part. And you're gonna go right in here. Like that. Now while this is setting, we can actually go ahead and get the trigger and everything in here. The trigger is just going to go right up in here. So I'm going to add some glue. Some glue for you. And that just goes right up into the trigger hole here. Dunk. Like so. And then we have the trigger guard. It's basically just going to slide into these two holes right here, these little slides. So before I slide it in, I'm going to put a little glue in there, just so it catches a little bit of it. And basically, you're just going to slide them in there, get them lined up, and then they just push right in. So you get that right there. Now we go ahead, may as well go ahead and put the grips in. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. And the grips just fit right in. Do the same thing on the other side. There we go, we have our grips now. Little trick, sometimes if you actually move the part with the glue, it'll set a little faster. Could thin it out a little bit. Now we can go ahead and put the barrel in the gun. And it's basically going to set in the groove in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue in here. And then go ahead and set this guy right in that groove. You'll feel it when it sets in there. And that part isn't dry yet. Come on. Now you also have this little front part. I'll just hold that. It is going to slide right into all this like that. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this guy. That's going to slide right up into all that mess and sit along the bottom just like that. Then finally we have the little back piece. The big side goes right in like that, and that part does not want to stick. Stay. You're sticking to my finger fine. So I'm going to put some glue in here. And then put that part in right like that. And there we go. So this one's a little complex in getting all the parts lined up, especially those parts that go along the grip. But still, overall, not that bad. Cool.